Okay. Hello and good evening. Baruch Hashem, here we are again, Sipra Maisa, the master of prayer. Bezat Hashem, today we will advance and see what it is that Rabbeinu is teaching us right now. Let's take a quick look. Here we go. So, the last time we were talking about how the master of prayer entered before the warrior. They recognized each other. There was a very great deal of rejoicing, of being privileged to be united. And between them, there were rejoicings and weepings because they recalled the king and his men. And they cried over that. And therefore, between them, they were rejoicing and crying. And the prayer leader discussed with the warriors by what experience they arrived here. That is a very important point that, B'ezrat Hashem, we need to, B'ezrat Hashem, talk about. The warrior told the prayer leader that from the time the storming was, when they were all dispersed, when he returned from the place where he went up to renew his power, I did not find the king and all his people. He let himself go where he would go. And he passed by them all. That is, he understood that he was in the place where the king had been and all the people had been. That is, being in one place, and the original says that there was a crown there. He understood that this was the place where the king certainly was, but he was unable to seek and find him. And likewise, he passed another place, understanding that there certainly the queen was, he was unable to seek and find her. Likewise, he passed over all the king's people. Only you I did not pass. That is, the warrior who was telling this said to the prayer leader, prayer master, that he passed by all the places of all the people. Only the place of the prayer leader he did not pass. And the prayer leader answered in prayer leader, I passed over all the places of all of them, and over your place too. Because I was passing by one place, and I saw that the king's crown was standing. And I understood that here was certainly the king. But I was unable to seek and find him. Likewise, I went further, and I passed before a sea of blood, and understood that this sea was certainly made from the tears of the queen, who was weeping all over this. And the queen was certainly here, but it was not possible to seek and find her. And likewise, I passed before a sea of milk, and understood this certainly was made from the milk of the queen's daughter, whose son was lost, and the excess milk pressured her. And this became the sea of milk. And certainly, the queen's daughter was here, but I was unable to seek and find her. And likewise, I went further and saw the golden hairs of the child, and I did not take from them at all. But I knew that here was certainly the child, But it was not possible to seek and find him. And likewise, I went further and passed for an ocean of wine, and the sea was suddenly made from the speech of the orator, who stands and speak consolations before the king and queen, and then turn his face and speak consolation to the queen's daughter. From the speech is made a sea of wine. And as it said, V'chikech kayayin atov, the roof of your mouth is like the best wine, says Sheshem. I could not find him. Likewise, I went further, and so forth and so on. Let's just stop right here. And talk a little bit about what we read so far. The first thing that we saw is that they were talking to each other, and they were speaking about what they went through in order to get to where they were, meeting with one another. And supposedly, as it were, from a cursory glance, it seems like, what difference does it make? I mean, okay, I mean, they found each other. That's the main thing. But as we go, the warrior gives a very succinct rundown. I passed in the place of the king, and I came back from renewing my power. There's the sword, and I couldn't find the king. And I knew he was there, and he couldn't be found, and I couldn't be looked for, he couldn't be found. And the queen, and so forth and so on. And then the master of prayer is going over each and every one, but now he is going through it at length. He's saying that he passed by the place of the king, and he saw the crown, but the king couldn't be searched for and couldn't be found. Then he goes and talks about the sea of blood, which is the place of the queen. The sea of blood was a result of her tears. And again, she couldn't be searched for, couldn't be found, and so forth and so on. It's not a shame. And next time we'll learn it. We'll try to go Bezat Hashem Bli Neder into the specifics of each one. But there is a very important lesson to be learned over here. Both the warrior and the master of prayer are saying essentially the same thing, except there's a great wonderment as to if they say that there's the place of the king, whether they saw the crown, didn't see the crown, and he couldn't be found. Okay. You understand? For some reason, the king is hidden and he can't be found. And same thing with the queen. So, the testimony to her being there, but she couldn't be found. But the curious Nakuda, which I'd like to concentrate on, is the fact that they say he couldn't, the king and the queen, each and every one of them, could not be searched for and could not be found. Why couldn't the king and the queen, the rest of them, why couldn't they be searched for? If you're talking about, I'm sorry about that. If you're talking about the fact that they couldn't be found, I understand. Because finding is not really up to you. Chazal said, that if you searched, if you toiled, you found, believe. They say that, the three things come while least expected. Metzir, something is being found. Akrav is a scorpion, and Mashiach. These three come when they're least expected. In other words, you can't prepare for it. You don't know what. So Shlosha Dvarim Boim Be'esach Hadas. When your mind is not on that, and boom, suddenly there it is. Suddenly you see, I don't know, a 200 shekel note in the street or whatever, diamond ring or whatever. But why do they say that the king, you could not search for the king? You could not search for the queen. You could not search for the daughter of the queen. Why couldn't they and the rest of them be searched for? Searching is something which is up to you. If you search, you have a chance of finding. I mean, it's not guaranteed, but okay. You have a chance of finding. Truth be told, if you keep on searching, Yagata Matzata Tamin, believe that inevitably you will find. But here it says that the king couldn't be searched for and couldn't be found. And the queen couldn't be searched for and couldn't be found. Why is that? This is a great lesson. That people, when you are going through Avodas Hashem, and you are reflecting on what it is that you went through and what it is that you have done on the road to arriving at this moment. In other words, you are making Isbaidadus to the best of your ability. There are times that not only that you can find, but you are so much in the dark that you lose the ability to search. Had it not been that you have been and you are reflecting on what happened to you and what you went through to get to before you got to this point in time, you would just get used to the okay, that that situation, whatever it is, and just go with the flow. But whereas that you are trying to get in touch with the Kodesh Baruch Hu, you're trying, you want, you wish to do what is right. When you get to a state that not only that you can't find, but you even lose your ability to search. When that happens, what you need to do is just go on to the next thing. Let it go and go on to the next thing. You passed over the site of the king. You saw the crown. How did you see the crown? But the warrior doesn't say that he saw the crown. But the massive prayer says he saw the crown. It means when you are making his way to this, when you want to find the king, you are in a state that you realize that really there is no other purpose in life except finding the king. Yet not only that you can find the king, right now you can't even search for him. Maybe you can't wake up in the morning, go to daven. Maybe the people that you like and friends, whatever it is, you're in such a bad mood or whatever it is, they're saying something to you, they're asking something from you. And you're so irritable that you're, biting the head off. Whatever it is, you find yourself in a situation that not only you can't find the king, you don't even have the ability to search for him. This is a very dismaying state. You look at people who don't care. Sorry. We're not talking about people who don't care. Well, people who do care. When you're connected to the tzaddik, you care. The more connected the tzaddik you are, the more you care. The more connecting to the true tzaddik, the more in tuned you are to the fact that there is no other purpose. The tzaddik is within you. The anova, the humbleness of Moshe Rabbeinu is in every single part of you, every organ, every blood vessel, every sinew, all your bones, all your existence, all your isness, as it were, is wishing, is searching to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu, get close to him. You don't know why, you don't know this, you don't know that, you just know that this is what you need to do. That's the tzaddik, that's the turbocharge, the tzaddik inside you that's driving you forward. And you find yourself in a situation that you can't even search, let alone find. It's not only that you're having trouble getting up in the morning, you don't even want to. it's not only that you're having trouble in being mechavan in the tefillah. You don't even want to. I mean, you want to in principle. But when it comes to davening itself, you just want to get rid of it. You're pushing it off, whatever it is that you do. This is one of the stages that people, Oivdei Hashem, the people of the tzaddik need to know that there are times, and it can last, that this is the test. Right now, not only that you cannot find, you can't even search, which means you don't even want to search. I mean, you want, but you want, you don't want. Don't freak out. Do not freak out. It's part of the process. The higher you go, the deeper the funks. It's okay. So what should you do? Go on. Meaning, do what you can. Let's say he can't get up in the morning. Whatever reason. Ultimately, you get to the point you don't even want to get up. I mean, you wake up early, whatever it is, you just want to go back to sleep. And you do, you go back to sleep. What should you do? If you wake up in the early time, just get up, wash nagel vasen, go to the bathroom, come out, say, the brachas and Tevis Yadayim, and so forth and so on. Say Birkas HaTorah, say Kriyat Shema, and then go back to sleep. The more relaxed you are about it, the better the chances are that this period will pass quicker. It is when you're trying to fight against it and you're not ready that you're actually prolonging the process. That's why it is crucial for you to be aware of what did you go through before you got to this state. Were you aware that there is no other tachlis in this world except Avodas Hashem? Were you learning Torah to the best of your ability? You're davening to the best of your ability. It doesn't matter better, worse, to the best of your ability. You are aware that you need to do this. Then you realize if you were doing this, little or a lot, you will recognize that this is a certain phase that if you will just relax, accept it, and continue, knowing that all those who yearn for HaKadosh Baruch Hu, who hope for HaKadosh Baruch Hu, they will get rejuvenated. You will find the head of the light at the end of the tunnel. Don't worry about it. Just keep on going on. Don't be fazed by the fact that you can't, that you don't see how you're ever going to get out of it, and don't worry about it. Just go on. Continue. Learn to the best of your ability. Find 5 minutes of his to do. If you can't open up your mouth, daven b'machshava. You find in the middle of davening that your heart is somewhere else. You just want to finish it and get it over with. In the middle of Shmoneh Esrei Shemot Tefillah, just lift your inner eyes to Kadosh Baruch Hu and go, and go on. Good things will happen to you. All this is embedded in the Ma'aseh Yaakov Avinu fighting the prince of Esav. It says, Vayivasa Yaakov levadoi, and Yaakov has remained alone. The Zohar speaks about it. He felt as if HaKadosh Baruch Hu left him. This is the klip of Onan Gadol, of a great cloud, a darkness that you feel all alone, bereft. That is the prince of Esav. His aim is to plant desolation in your heart, to plant hopelessness in your heart. To bring you to the point that you would just give up. Don't. As long as you have the tefillah in any way, shape, or form, you'll get through it, B'ezrat Hashem. B'ezrat Hashem, because you're connected to the tzaddik. B'ezrat Hashem, the tzaddik cannot do anything without you. And you cannot do anything without the tzaddik. But if you do, more or less, you don't know what it is that you can do and you can't do. In your mind, you may have the coulda, shoulda, woulda. I should be able to do this, and I could be able to do this, and I still don't. Blah blah blah. All these stories you do have in your mind. But what really you cannot do, you can't do this. You don't know. But Baruch Hu knows, the tzaddik knows. Your mission, as I said, Mission Impossible, your mission, you choose to accept it, is just to go on and be b'simcha. Be b'simcha. The best of your ability. Why? Because you want to. You want to. Once you want to, okay. Good things about Hashem will happen. But Hashem will stop here this week, and we'll continue Mitzvah Hashem next week as we starting going through different people of the King of Lenator.